Hey everybody, welcome back to Guns and Gadgets, your source for Second Amendment news. Last night I put out a quick info video. I was exhausted. Was awake for about 45 and a half hours, and the body just shut down. I wasn't able to get to the studio here, and literally like 20 minutes after I posted that video, my body shut down and I was passed out. But here I am, a little bit of a follow-up on Senator Mark Rubio's National Red Flag Bill legislation. I actually have a copy of, he put out a one-page informational yesterday, and that'll be here while I'm talking about it. And the actual bill, it will probably be the same as the one that was submitted last May, and I'll also have that linked in the description as well. But the quick informational that they put out, I'll read with you, we'll go over it real quick, and I would hope that you will pass this on to other Second Amendment friendly people. But the title of it is, just like they all have been across the country, it's Extreme Risk Protection Order and Violence Protection Act. Senators Mark Rubio, Republican, out of Florida, Jack Reed, Democrat, out of Rhode Island, Angus King, who's an independent technically, out of Maine, but pretty Democrat, pretty liberal, and Susan Collins, Republican, Maine. And it starts a little paragraph, a blurb about Stoneman Douglas High School, Parkland, Florida. And it says the problem, law enforcement and family members who have identified the dangerous and threatening behavior of an individual currently have limited options to remove firearms from that individual's possession because of things like innocent until proven guilty, I don't know, the Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, unreasonable searches and seizures, and a whole plethora of our own inalienable rights that are in the Bill of Rights. But I'll continue. I can see how that would thwart the ultimate narrative for the Marxists and leftists, not to be able to just walk in and take people's stuff. There is a little bit of a hurdle called the Constitution. But I digress. We tell people, if you see something, say something. And this bill ensures that we do something. Okay, just a bunch of BS. And the solution, this is exactly what they're going to try to do with this bill. And first off, let me stop, okay? I do these informationals, I get the news out, it takes a lot of time and effort. It's a pain in the butt sometimes. You gotta call legislators' offices, you gotta get bills. It's not fun, otherwise everybody would do it. And when people say it's gonna get squashed by the Senate, the president will never sign it, that kind of, either you're not paying attention or you really don't have your fingers on the pulse of what's been happening. So this was introduced by senators who are Republicans. So the fact that we have a Republican majority in the Senate, and this anti-Second Amendment illegal gun confiscation bill is being submitted again by Republicans who have the majority, and you think that the Republicans in the Senate are going to stop this, you're out of your tree. And if you don't think the president, who said they want the red flag, grab the guns first, due process second, that's exactly what the red flag is. If you don't think he'll sign it, I really don't know where you've been hanging around. But that bubble that you've been in, it must be a really nice bubble because it's burst for the rest of us. This will get signed by the president if it makes his desk. This will make it through the Senate if you have senators who are supposed to have been in the past pro 2A. They are the ones who are pushing it. And it's going to pass the House. I mean, dangle anything with the Second Amendment where it takes a little bit away from it in front of that House led by Nancy Pelosi, and they're going to eat that like piranha who is starving. It's coming, it's coming, it's coming, okay? And we'll continue about their solution. It tells you where they're heading, because there's a little caveat in there. So they're saying Congress must pass legislation encouraging states to enact laws to provide law enforcement and family members the option of obtaining a court order to prevent firearms purchases and possession by individuals who pose a significant threat to themselves or others. It goes into other states have already done this, Florida and Rhode Island, and that's why we, the senators of Florida and Rhode Island and Maine, want this, because Maine is actually considering this same proposal. Now, these are the bullet points of the bill that will be reworked, submitted, retyped in the next day or so. And again, once that is released, you'll have that information here. I'll do a video about it and put the bill out. But I'll put the former version. Usually it's the same exact as the previous version. They just tweak the parts that didn't work to make it more palatable for the Congress that's now in session. So it's going to create an extreme risk protection order grant program at the Department of Justice grant program money. We're going to pay the states off to do this. Okay, that's how the government gets everything done. That's how they that's how they established the national drinking age, right? Some states didn't have the same age that the feds wanted, so they said, you know what, we're going to withhold the federal highway funding money unless you have the same laws that everybody else does. It's blackmail. And then every state says, hey, we can't lose this because literally we need this money to survive. So let's change the law. And that's what they do, and that's what they're doing here. You want some money? You want some federal money? You want that teat? Change the law. Makes states enacting qualifying laws eligible for funding to help implement such laws, as well as priority consideration for Bureau of Justice Assistance discretionary grants. There you go. There's how they're going to bribe people. If you do it, we'll give you money here, and we'll make you qualified for money over here, and this could be beneficial for you. Our states will sell us out for money. Requires that qualifying state law be in compliance with the minimum requirements described in this act, including providing a process where a law enforcement officer or family member of an individual can petition for, and after notice, a hearing, a court can grant an extreme risk protection order if the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that such individual possess a significant danger of causing personal injury to himself, herself, or others, okay, or by purchasing a firearm. So what they're making it sound good on paper, okay, we need to have a hearing. We need to have clear and convincing evidence. We've proven already across the country with states that have these red flags that, you know, the hearing is often a 5-minute thing in front of a judge, and the accused isn't there. They don't have the right to talk to the judge. They don't have a right to a trial by jury. They don't have a right to confront their accuser. They're just taken by surprise when people show up and take their guns. And it's been abused in almost every state that's had them already, sometimes by the hundreds. Florida, last I saw, was over 460 plus guns that were taken by red flag already. But it continues. The duration of such order may not exceed 12 months, but may be renewed upon a showing of clear and convincing evidence it remains warranted. You know how dangerous that is? On so many levels, so many avenues right there. And of course, the respondent has the right to request a hearing to vacate an order for removal, but do you really think that they'll just let that fly? Nope. Continues, providing a process where a temporary ex parte extreme risk protection order can be issued if the courts find probable cause to believe that an individual possesses a significant danger of causing personal injury to himself, herself, or others in the near future. And that's italicized, in the near future. Vague, very vague, by possessing or purchasing a firearm. So if you say, just some typical things that people say when their rights are violated, not even necessarily the Second Amendment. You know, those type of responses were a lot of times they are because people are angry because they have a passion for what they believe in, and sometimes people do 100% legit mean it. But just saying that, putting that out there, gives these people cause, under what they just said, the way it's said, to say that that person who made that comment could be a risk in the near future. You can just, like that, lose your guns for at least 12 months. And then at the 12-month mark, they can say, you know what? He could probably still be a danger. I mean, this is his thoughts last year when this happened. We should just make this permanent. Done deal, folks. Continues. It gets worse. Establishing a felony criminal offense for knowingly making a false statement related to an extreme risk protection order regarding a material matter. So this is that scenario where, all right, the swatting, okay? But they're going to come take the weapons anyway, first, because they're going to knee-jerk react. Every judge in the country is going to say, yeah, go do it. I don't want to be the judge who says no and then have something happen. So this is all going to happen anyway. You would have to prove your innocence instead of being innocent until proven guilty. And then after the fact, you can sue that person for this false claim. This could be years after the fact. So they make it sound great, like, oh, look, the person has the opportunity to make it right. But that ain't going to happen for years. If you don't know how the law works and how the court system works, that's a joke. And then 2 more bullet points, requiring clear processes and instructions for the surrender of a respondent's firearms should an extreme risk protection order be issued, and as well as a clear process and instruction for the swift return of such firearms upon expiration or successful motion to vacate an order. And if you really think the government's going to move swift to get you your guns back, you are living under a rock. And then the last point, requiring that an issuance of an extreme risk protection order be reported to the appropriate federal, state, and tribal databases. There you go. You are going to go into this list, kind of like a travel ban probably, a list that you can't get off. Start making the phone calls. I know people are like, Jared, phone calls. You always say call our representatives. They work for you. Those people are our employees, and they need to hear from their constituents, because silence is acceptance. And if they think, well, people are cool with this, they're just going to push a little further and a little further and a little further. So that's Marco Rubio's release from his office about the extreme risk protection order, the federal one that they are submitting. This, I'm assuming, if it's not today, it's going to be next week. I will put a link in the description to this one-pager they released. I'll also put a link in the description to the previous bill that was submitted by these goofballs. And when the new version comes out, if there's any changes, I'll try to find them and make it well known. Please pass this along, because this is absolutely imperative. This is the one bill, short of them putting out a bill to strip the amendment altogether, like a new amendment. This is the one that will circumvent the Second Amendment. It's been doing it in every state that it's been passed in, all 13 of them. And the rest of them are coming. They're coming. Don't be intimidated by these people. I'll also put a video. I'll have to dig it up. I did it about a year and a half ago. Floated around here. It'll be in the description of how to contact your legislator. How to go about doing it if you've never done it before. I have that down there. Please look at that as well and share that. You might have family members who are just intimidated of talking to these suits. Okay? I'll put that in there. It's easy. It's very easy. This is the federal red flag bill that will be the federal red flag law if we don't get off our rear ends. Until we see each other again, this is Jared from Guns and Gadgets. Please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. This is where you're going to get the news. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry a weapon. Take care, everybody.